Hello, I'm Natalia, and I am the Game Master, or GM, for the Legends of Kith Pathfinder campaign. So Pathfinder is a RPG, so it's a role-playing game. It's a tabletop role-playing game, and it's kind of similar to D&D. It's sort of that same idea of those really fun, sit down around a table with your friends games. You play through a story. Sometimes it's an adventure, sometimes it's funny. We've done everything from rescuing slaves to telling a perfume maker that his perfume is making a city fall asleep. So it's all kinds of things. It can be whatever you want it to be. My job as the game master is to write that story. So whatever they're doing, a lot of it's making it up as you go. The player will decide, I'm gonna go off this way, and then I have to tell them what they get to do, and putting together the story to create kind of it's a novel that you get to play through as you go. The most challenging part of being a game master is probably when one of the players goes off and does something stupid and you have to save their life. And sometimes you have to sort of finagle to save their life. That's probably the tricky part. I use a bunch of different resources. I mean, we play what's called a homebrew, which is, it's all from my head. I'm not really pulling from anything other than traditional high fantasy. So we have elves, we have dwarves, we have some of my favorite creatures like selkies. Kind of pulling from those things, pulling from stories that I love, traditional high fantasy. That's kind of what I do to create the game, and I use a whole host of apps and different things to make the game fun and get some atmosphere going in the room. Tips for world creation are probably I'd say the first thing you should do is you kind of know what the theme of your world is, what you want. So just for our theme, we're going very medieval. We don't have any firearms or any lasers, nothing like that in ours. We're very medieval fantasy. Kind of once you figure out where you're setting it, that gives you a better idea. And then for ours is sort of that traditional English high fantasy. Then as you world build, for me, it just kind of comes as we go. And eventually I made a map and figured all that out. And as long as you can figure out a way that works for you to get consistency, I'd say that that's kind of the best way to world build, is just make sure it's consistent. Side stories are really important to a campaign, because if you're just playing through the main thing, it's kind of like goal, check, goal, check, goal, check. And in any video game, in any story, you're always going to find those other little things you need to do, and those are what make the game fun. You're in a city doing part of your main goal, but maybe you go and talk to a shopkeeper who has a side quest for you, or it's really just like a video game is what it is. My biggest tip for aspiring game masters would be pull a couple of your friends together, draw a grid on a piece of paper, grab a couple of rocks, and start playing. The story comes from you and your creation, so you don't even need anything fancy. Just sit down and start doing something with your friends and start creating a story.